The reason I'm trying to talk about this is because it's one of the biggest examples of how the duality of God contradicts itself. God contradicts himself. Why would God create men that struggle with lust? Look at what you are purporting about God. You are saying, when you start to when you start to nitpick creation and come up with flaws about creation, you are actually saying that there is a flaw in the creator. When you start looking at people badly, you're not looking at people badly, you're looking at the creator badly. He's allowed everyone to be born. He knew everyone before they were even formed in their mother's womb. When you start justifying the Bible and having the Bible contradict itself, you're pointing out that God is a problem. You're pointing out that God has a flaw. That's dangerous. That's more dangerous. That's more alarming to me as a person than anything else that you try to tell me and convince me of. And man, honestly, even though the women need to take accountability, you need to take accountability too. Admit that it's an external source. You don't have a problem with lust. You really never will. You need to come to terms with that and just shut it off. So what if it's a chick? So what if she's dressing provocative? So what? Doesn't matter. If she wants to wear it, she can wear it as much as she wants. This is not me being double-sided. If she wants to continue like that, then ignore her as such. She doesn't matter anyway. That's what I'll tell the men. She doesn't matter, nor will she ever matter. If that's how she decides to represent God and what God has done in her life, then that's her problem. Ignore her and move on. She doesn't even deserve your time of day. You can do much better, man. That's all I'll say to you. When I see, that's something I'll tell you what I do personally. If I see women dress up like that, I don't even bother saying hi to them. I don't share eye contact with them, especially if it's in church. If it's outside a church, I'll still try and talk to the girl to figure out if she, if she's a cashier or whatever. I'll try and talk to her, see if she goes to church, whatever. But even if you're outside a church and you're a Christian and you're trying to represent God, is that the best way you can represent God? Dressing for everyone to see every part of your body in the name of progressiveness. But yes, I do tend to ignore a lot of women. Side note, I hate them Birkenstock things, whatever the hell they are. And if you wear them, I will ignore you. I don't care who you are. You could be a mega pastor, celebrity pastor, I don't give a shit. I'll still ignore you. You can wear them. I don't care if it's comfortable. It makes me literally want to puke. But anyway, that's besides the point. If I see a lot of women in church dressed like that, I just ignore them, toss them to the side. It's a girl anyway. The hell is going to happen if I ignore her if I don't? She's just a chick. There's At some point in time you're going to have to come up in your mind, even if you see the girl on Instagram and if she's not Christian, anything. If you see the bots online, don't let it even be a trigger. Just like, so what? It's a girl. Big whoop. Who cares? Move on. When you start to ignore girls like that, you're going to be at such a high level. You know why? We can actually be like Jesus. Jesus shows us what it's like as peak performance as a human male. That's what Jesus shows us. Waiting around all day for just one woman to show up who can cause him sin because she's an adulteress herself. And he ends up impacting her life. So if you find yourself in that situation, just say, Sister, I bless you. I can provide information about Christ. The hotline is just say, Father in heaven, I hope you listen to me. That's the hotline. And then just tell them to move on. But Jesus proves to you that you can actually be in the presence of a woman one on one and you can walk away squat free. You can walk away without any lustful or sexual encounter between the two of you. Just minimize it down to nothing. I said it in one of my Rumble videos about pornography. You can minimize it down to nothing in your own mind. If you think it's a problem, it's because you're giving it too much attention and intention in your own mind that you're allowing it to have greater value. You get to decide what has value in your life. Is it God or the thing that you struggle with? Because you can't give value to both. One will always take the place of the other. So either you give all that time and attention to God and value Him, or you give all that time and attention and value to lust. So it's up to you, literally up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. That's up to you. I don't care what I think is the best way to do. That works for me. It may not work for you. So you need to come up with a way where you can just ignore all of this stuff and minimize it down to nothing. You don't have to struggle with this stuff. You can be perfectly fine. And that's my message to you. in terms of that. When it comes to the religious way of things and the duality of God, and particularly in this case with the girl, if she's dressing like that most of the time, if she's purporting a gym culture like that, or for whatever excuse that she has, looking cute is just an excuse. And the gym is just an excuse. It's not a reason, it's an excuse. And this is not something that I want to battle over things with other people. It's just pretty straightforward. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But she's contradicting herself too because she believes in religion. So she got what she deserved. She got what she asked for. She asked for a religious man, the guy became religious, and that's a consequence of religion. Consequence of religion is you will believe in God, but you will always forever struggle with things. The spirit led life will never allow that to happen. Because you're being filled so much. Biggest distinction I can ever make for you, and this is my final point. I can keep ranting on about this, but this is my final point. In the Old Testament, you see people struggle with lust, right? But after the New Testament, after Jesus is gone, you never hear of it. You'll hear or you'll read about Paul talking about how the churches struggle with lust, but that's because they've fallen into the religious ways of the Old Testament. But you'll never see it happen in such a way where the apostles themselves and the disciples themselves struggle with lust. It's not mentioned in the Bible. Paul even went further monk mode. He's like, I don't even want a chick in my life. These issues that I got up here, I'm just kidding. But you see it. After Jesus bestows his Holy Spirit upon them and he shows them what love is, he shows them who love is. He shows them God's love. They don't even have the time of day to think about sin. They don't have the time of day to think about temptation and lust and all these other things. And that's the same life that you have that's being offered to you by way of Jesus through the Holy Spirit. All you have to do is accept it. It doesn't come with a sinner's prayer, it comes with your acceptance and receptiveness towards it. You can live the same life as Jesus, and that's what he's calling you to as well. He's calling you to be equals with him. This is not wrong doctrine. I'm not preaching anything by twisting the Bible. You can read the New Testament and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Read the whole Bible and you'll be able to make the distinction yourself. What I do is I pick up on patterns and things that I read in the Bible, the themes that I see, the overall storylines that I see in the Bible, whether it be New Testament solely or Old Testament solely or both together. And that's why I said the Bible compounds itself. When Jesus, this is why you think the Bible contradicts itself. Whoa, but it's eye for an eye. You know what that law says? It's not eye for an eye means that you can take the other person's eye. It means you have to take out the other person's eye. That was what the law was. If someone robbed you, you have to rob them. If someone wronged you, you have to wrong them back in the same way. If someone took out your tooth, knocked your tooth out, you have to knock their tooth out too. That's what the law was. And that's why Jesus says, y'all interpret it the wrong way. You've heard it said this way, but you interpreted it the wrong way. If it means that an eye for an eye, it means that you have to take the other person's eye out, what does it imply? That you don't be the person that continues this chain. That's why he's saying turn the other cheek. I mean, he's just saying I think a lot of people say Jesus is so smart. He says turn the other cheek. If someone slaps you on one cheek, turn the other cheek. He's not saying that let them slap the other cheek. Just ignore it and just keep walking away. Because the law is telling you to ruin your own relationship. Your interpretation of the law is teaching you how to ruin relationships. Would that be the way that you treat God? That if he took something from your life, knowing that it was bad for you, that you try and take something away from heaven? Would that be how you treat God? God is asking you for friendship. God, if your religious views limit your way of coming to God as a son and a friend, or a daughter and a friend, then you have the wrong belief. You think and believe about God in the wrong way. You think he's some tyrannical ruler. It's not an empire, it's a kingdom which you are a part of as a royal priest. And if that's what God calls you to, oh, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, then that means you don't know God. Because that's not what God was ever trying to do. That's why Jesus says, you have heard it said this way, but the reality is this.